Hi guys, it's Laura from Doggy U, and today we're going to be talking about my recent trip with Erik Weihenmayer, where we went to Vegas and Salt Lake City so he could do talks, these huge talks out in public with his new guide dog, Zena. So today we're going to talk about all of what went into training her to be able to go on stage to find the podium for him, as well as just like general like air and escalator and all that's wrapped into the ending of this really big placement that I just finished up with Fidelco Guide Dog Foundation. Now, what I can tell you is that what happens in Vegas doesn't necessarily stay in Vegas if it's a giant super virus thing. I spent the last Monday through Wednesday in the hospital, not knowing who I was, not knowing my name. Really weird situation, which is why I didn't put out a video for you guys last week. But I'm back, I'm mostly feeling better, and we're gonna talk about all of this end of placement trip that we went on in 36 hours whirlwind tour with a brand new guide dog. So check it out. So to start off with, I felt really fortunate to be able to place a dog with Erik Weihenmayer. He's a really cool guy, but besides being a cool guy, he's also an adventurer. You may have read some of his books, Touch the Top or No Barriers, and he has also summited Everest, as well as done the 7 summits. He's an avid kayaker, rock climber, adventurer, really cool dude, and also a down-to-earth, fun guy. We had a lot of laughs during this placement, even though a lot of it was super hard work. So today we're going to talk all about just this little bit of the placement, which was about 36 hours, where we went from Denver to Las Vegas, did a big talk in front of 1,000 people, then flew that night to Salt Lake, slept over in the morning, did a talk in front of 1,400 people, and then flew home to Denver. And how we did that with a brand new guide dog, as well as how we got her ready to be on stage in front of that many people. So throughout this video, I'm going to do a little bit of narrating as well as letting you listen to what I'm actually saying if it's pertinent in person. So we started off getting on the shuttle here to get to the plane. So we're at the airport. She's been on one plane before when I went and picked her up from Bloomfield, Connecticut at Fidelco. And now we're heading to the plane and discussing what we're going to do once we get on the plane with her. When we get on the plane too, just have your cheese available, because when we take off and land, we're gonna give her a piece of cheese. Okay. Because that's the worst part. So we want her to like it, and she likes cheese. So. You'll hear cheese come up a lot in this video, and that's because Zena's a pretty big fan, and we're using positive reinforcement to create good associations with things that we'd like her to enjoy in the future, including being on the plane, because she's going to be on one several times a month, as well as finding the podium and anything else we'd like her to really enjoy. So in this clip, you'll hear Pauline jingling keys in front of her, so the woman with that brown leather bag. And what we're teaching here is Zena practicing follow with the person that she's going to be following quite a bit, which is Erik's event manager, who travels with him quite a bit. So Zena needs to learn that this is a person that we follow through the airport. Even while she's navigating these crowds of people and obstacles and all of that, she still needs to maintain a follow with Pauline throughout the airport. The keys are an auditory cue so that Erik can hear where Pauline is to make sure that Zena stays on course, especially during the training process.
Awesome.
Follow is a really important behavior for this client, which is why in-community placement is so nice. We do train follow during the dog's training program, but it's going to be utilized so much with Zena with the amount of traveling that Erik does that we really had to practice it quite a bit on training to make sure she had it solidly. Fidelco Guide Dog Foundation does all in-community placement, which means you don't go to a school. The trainer like me would come to your house and work with you in your specific environment, which allows for a lot of customized one-on-one attention, which is really nice for a lot of clients who have busy schedules. So now we've made it through the airport. We're heading to the plane. We do get to board first. I got the opportunity to sit in first class for this trip, which was my first time sitting in first class, which was a lot of fun. But either way, if you're boarding a plane with a service animal, typically they will allow you to board first. And Zena did a really nice job with all of these turns and getting Erik to the plane safely. And here Zena is, tucking nicely under the seat and waiting for maybe some cheese at takeoff. So once we got off the plane, it's time to head to the hotel so that Erik can do his talk. We were in Vegas, so a very busy area. Lots of escalators on this trip, so they got the opportunity to practice safely riding the escalator, getting on safely, as well as making sure we were fast to get off. Going quickly off the escalator, make sure that Zena lifts her feet and she doesn't get her toes caught in the end of the escalator. Once we were at the hotel, it was important to make sure that Zena had a potty break. This hotel had this grass relief area, so we want to make sure we take her off harness, give her a chance to potty, and then get ready for showtime. So now we're going to talk about how we got her to go to the podium in the middle of the stage. And what you should know is that what I didn't get on tape is initially she did not want to go anywhere near the podium or the guy at the podium because these dogs are taught to avoid obstacles. And the podium is an obstacle, the guy is an obstacle. So she went on stage and said, nope, we're going to go away from this guy. So this video you're going to see is in fast forward, and I'm going to talk about the process that I used to basically back chain her finding the podium for Erik. Okay, so
let's back up a little bit more. So yeah.
Do you mind if we're on? Because I want to train her from a little closer to start with, so
sure.
that she hits it every time.
No, you do what you need to do. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so Erik, follow me.
Ready for us.
Okay. So here we're going to do the process, which is called back chaining, which is where I'm going to start her nice and close to the podium so that she can be successful finding it, and then back her up until we make it to off stage in incremental steps to get her really excited about driving towards that podium. Now, if you could hear, if I didn't take all the sound off of this video, you would hear me saying, I know that this sounds really counterintuitive that I'm going to put food on the ground when, in general, with service dogs, we don't want them to eat food off the ground. But the reality of training in the moment is that I had about 15 to 20 minutes to train this entire behavior, and I needed to then be able to nail it in front of 1,400 people. So my options were limited. I couldn't put out a target and teach her to do a target. If I had a lot more time, we could have done it a different way. But instead, this worked out really well. Basically, I put cheese on the podium. I started her from a step or so away so that she knew that going to that podium was going to get her a reward. And you'll see that in the first 5 or so reps of this, where we're slowly backing her up to find it, the cheese is on the ground. What you'll start to notice after this rep is that next, Erik is going to be feeding. So I'm putting cheese up on top of the podium. He's asking her to find the podium. She finds it. Erik takes the cheese off and feeds her off of the podium. So it's no longer on the floor. But you will see throughout the video that she'll be looking for that cheese on the floor because she knew it was there last time. So we're feeding at the podium. Now he's practicing getting off stage because she also needs to bring him off stage. And we're going to do another rep. Cheese on the podium, and you'll see that woman that's walking across the stage. I asked for a helper because in reality, when he does this, he's gonna have someone that she doesn't know at the podium. He's going to go talk to the president of this company when he comes out on stage. So we also need to be sure, besides that she can find that podium, that she's not going to avoid the guy that's near the podium. So now we're going to have a helper come out to the podium and practice being a stranger that she needs to find the podium with the guy there. And we had this really nice guy who was able to help us out with that. So she finds the podium, and then the person at the podium is going to put Erik's hand on the podium so he knows where it is. And then after that, he'll have Zena lay down next to him during the talk. So we're just doing this a couple of times. And then, once we're proficient at finding the podium with a person there, without the cheese on the floor, we're going to add in noise. So I asked them to find me an applause soundtrack. You can see that they've put on the crazy lights, and we're ready to roll with the applause.
Find the podium.
And here we're just practicing a little bit more applause and feeding her for it, creating that positive association with the loud noises.
That's great. Okay, that's good.
You'll hear me nervous laughing quite a bit throughout this entire recording process because this was really stressful for me, honestly, as a trainer. It was one of the most stressful things that I've done with a brand new guide dog is saying, hey, why don't we stand up in front of 1,400 people? You need to hit the podium and then you need to maintain a downstay for 60 minutes while there's videos going on in the background and applause and lights and all of that. And a different guide dog probably couldn't have done it, but we picked Zena for this particular person because of her amazing ability to just roll with all the brand new stuff and also be able to maintain a really nice downstay for long periods of time. And you know what? She really showed up and she nailed it. And that's both a product of her puppy raising, her trainer, Jen at Fidelco, her breeding, as well as her relationship that we built over the last 2 weeks with her new handler. So let's see how it turned out when we did actually the live presentation. So now I'm backstage watching what's going on a video monitor, just off stage there, and Zena is prepared to go on, and the CEO of this company is basically talking up Erik and saying how awesome he is, and I'm in the back nearly puking because I'm so nervous, and then she walks out, and she, as you can see, 100% nails it.
Yes. She's looking for the cheese. Yes.
And you can see here how Erik is touching Zena's back to make sure that she's in her down. You'll see that he's made her leash long, and that is on purpose because what he's doing as he talks on the stage is he's moving back and forth, but every time he goes back towards Zena on his left-hand side, he's putting his foot on the leash so that he knows that she is in fact maintaining her downstay tactily. So Zena maintained her perfect downstay throughout the hour-long presentation. What I will say is she was exhausted, so she slept most of the time throughout. So now it's over. He's making his leash short again, getting her ready to go off stage, and now she just has to nail finding off stage, and then she will have completed her first huge presentation with Erik with flying colors. So off stage they go, picks up the handle, and they're out, and then they come down to our stairs, she nails the stairs, and we're good to go. So after that presentation, we did a little photo shoot with anybody who wanted to meet Erik, and then we were off, and we're back going through the hotel and heading back on our next plane of the day to go to Salt Lake City so that we can be ready in the morning for another presentation. And I breathed a huge sigh of relief because she really nailed it, so I'm feeling really confident about her next presentation. And she is exhausted. We're all exhausted. By the time we get into Salt Lake, it's midnight. So we've been traveling. I think we got up around 4:30 in the morning. We went to Vegas, then hit Salt Lake by midnight, checked into our hotel, and we had to be up for a sound check, I believe at around 6:15 a.m. So it was a big day for this girl, and she got lots of time to decompress in the room so that she could have a little bit of a break. Because it was such a big trick. So Erik played with her and gave her some time off as well between each of these presentations. So now we're at the next hotel practicing for his next event. Same process, we back-chained to this particular podium as well. What's important to know about dogs is they're not solid generalizers. So we have to make sure that she understands that we go to all the podiums. So we need to practice this whole routine with going to the podium at each location until she's been to so many podiums that she understands the cue to go find that podium. So in this one, it was a little bit different setup. The people were a lot closer, but you can see her little body just kind of passed out there while Erik talks. And another presentation that she really just nailed. And what was interesting about this presentation is there were so much more pictures at the end of it. So we got out of the presentation and everybody wanted to meet Erik. So she posed for pictures for a good hour of just laying next to him in front of the canvas that they had and taking pictures with all these brand new people, and she did a great job not trying to greet anybody and ignoring anybody who talked to her. So really couldn't ask for any more with this dog. So after that whirlwind trip, we are headed back to the airport to fly home. So I did just a little bit of a check-in with Erik to see how he felt about the whole trip. So Erik, how do you think your first big couple events with Zena went?
She was a champ, that Zena girl. Yeah. Ooh, now she's got an itch on her butt though. Yeah, she was totally a rock star. She came right out. Found the podium after getting incentivized to do so with a good piece of string cheese. Yeah. And then the second event, she was even better. She was darting to the podium. It was awesome. Laid down so nicely. One time she turned her butt to the audience because she got excited about clapping. But she'll learn. I mean, that's her second event, so she's amazing.
With 1,400 people.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll keep her?
You know, it's been a hard decision. I'm waffling, but I think I'll keep her. I think I'll stick with her.
Well, that's good to hear.
All right.
Good girl.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. You can tell that Zena, Erik, and I were all incredibly tired after this whirlwind trip, but she really rock starred it. So if you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe so that you can get all the new videos on service dogs, pet dogs, training, dog travel, and all that fun stuff. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. I love to answer questions that you guys have. You guys have an awesome day and happy training. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our next video. Subscribe now and never miss an episode.